Make America Florida. Remember that during Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign? Everyone was like, hey, the dude did a great job in Florida. Make him president, and he can make the entire country just as great as the Sunshine State. Well, now Donald Trump seems to be doing exactly that, because Donald Trump has picked 2 more Florida men to serve in his second presidential cabinet. They are Florida Representative Matt Gaetz from District 1, who has been chosen to be the Attorney General, and Senator Marco Rubio, who we've known for a few days now would be the Secretary of State, but it was totally made official today. It was made official today when Donald Trump released this statement on his X and Truth Social platforms. It is my great honor to announce that Senator Marco Rubio of Florida is hereby nominated to be the United States Secretary of State. Marco is a highly respected leader and a very powerful voice for freedom. He will be a strong advocate for our nation, a true friend to our allies, and a fearless warrior who will never back down to our adversaries. I look forward to working with Marco to make America and the world safe again. I still can't get out of my head the idea of Marco Polo, how we should change the children's game to Marco Rubio out of respect now that he's reached the position of Secretary of State. You know, kids floating around in the pool here in Florida especially should yell out, Marco Rubio, Marco Rubio. I don't know. I'm going to teach my kids. Now, from now on, we're not playing Marco Polo anymore. In the Kaye household, we're playing Marco Rubio. And Marco Rubio is a solid choice. A lot of people really like Marco Rubio. He's been around for a long time. The best thing about Marco Rubio is that instead of becoming a Trump adversary after he was trounced by Trump in the 2016 election, instead of losing his own home state of Florida in the primary, which he did to President Trump, instead of losing his home state of Florida and saying, well, that dagnabbit you, Trump, I'm coming after you and I will never, ever support you, he did the opposite. And he realized, wow, the people in the state of Florida, they like me for senator, but they really like Donald Trump for president. So as their representative, I should probably do whatever I can to make sure Donald Trump gets elected both in 2016 and 2024. And he did just that. Marco Rubio is a huge Donald Trump proponent. He's been on the campaign trail with President Trump, and he's one of the he's been a longtime supporter now for, coming on 16, like 8-10 years. And now his loyalty and his expertise and really his vision have been rewarded. Now, he's not the hard-nosed kind of representative that most people think he is, although he does have his moments. There are times when Marco Rubio has done and said things that are powerful, that show that he's got backbone. In fact, he was cornered in the hallway and asked about Hamas and what to do with them, and he looked directly into the camera and said,
Senator Rubio, will you call for ceasefire?
No, I will not. On the contrary.
Rubio,
are you filming it? I want you guys to get this. I want them to destroy every element of Hamas they can get their hands on. These people are vicious animals who did horrifying crimes, and I hope you guys post that.
And what about the civilians that are being killed every day?
Hamas should stop hiding behind civilians, putting civilians in the way. Hamas knew that this was going to lead to this. So Hamas has stopped building their military installations underneath hospitals.
So you don't care that 15,000 have died? You don't care about the babies that are being killed every day?
I think it's terrible, and I think Hamas is 100% to blame. That's what I think. Make sure you post that, please.
Make sure you post. He's very soft-spoken. Make sure you post that, please. But he's got hard tactics. He says things that are harsh and very specific and seem like he's going to be the guy to go into the UN and go into NATO and go abroad and talk to our allies and talk to our adversaries and tell them the United States of America is back and we are badder than ever and you guys better step off. He seems like he'll say that, but he's just going to say it in one of those soft voices like, we're back and you better stay up and make sure you post that. But either way, it's fantastic to have another Florida man in the cabinet. Then there's Representative Matt Gaetz, who's going to be the Attorney General. And as the Attorney General of the United States of America, it's Matt Gaetz's job to lead the Department of Justice. And this is interesting for a few reasons. Number one, because not a lot of people thought that Matt Gaetz would be the choice to lead the Department of Justice. A lot of folks had said Kash Patel would be Attorney General. He's got a really, really hard stance on rooting out the deep state and de-weaponizing the DOJ. A lot of folks thought Senator Mike Lee from Utah might also be an appropriate or top of the list pick for Attorney General. He too has been he's been a fighter in the Senate against the Department of Justice and Merrick Garland and the weaponization that they've shown with the Mar-a-Lago raid and the attacks on conservative parents and PTA members and whatnot. Not to mention other conservatives who've found themselves running up against the federal government and who have been treated totally unfairly. But the job ended up with Matt Gaetz, who again is a proponent of reforming the Department of Justice, making sure that the FBI and the CIA and all of these other agencies are not used to as a police force or as a strong arm of the federal government, as Joe Biden has been using them for the last 4 years. And so Matt Gaetz has been tasked with being Attorney General. Now, the other interesting thing about Matt Gaetz being Attorney General or being the Senate, there's still Senate confirmation that goes through for both of these individuals, but he's the nominee for Attorney General, is that he has been under investigation by the DOJ for some time now. And if and when he becomes the Attorney General, those investigations, I imagine, will all go away. Matt Gaetz claims, of course, that that's just an extension of the weaponization and the attacks that Joe Biden and the DOJ have used to launch against him because he's been such an outspoken critic of them. Matt Gaetz, look, he's youthful. He's got a big head of hair. He looks like a movie star, but he's also very powerful. He is the guy that brought down Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy. He single-handedly mounted the effort to oust him.
People have called you a narcissist. People say that is to your benefit alone. Is it to the benefit of you and to Donald Trump?
It's the benefit of this country that we have a better Speaker of the House than Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy couldn't keep his word. He made an agreement in January regarding the way Washington would work, and he violated that agreement. We are $33 trillion in debt. We are facing $2.2 trillion annual deficits. We face a de-dollarization globally that will crush Americans, working class Americans. Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
Matt Gaetz has stood up against the corruption in Washington, D.C. and in the House of Representatives for a very long time. He has spearheaded the attacks on congresspeople becoming members of the special interest groups that they helped serve in Congress. He's been against the rotating door of leaving Congress and going and getting a high-paying job at one of these lobbying firms. He thinks that there should be a lifetime ban on any elected official, Congress or Senate, to go out and work as a lobbyist once they leave the Capitol building. He's also all about reform for campaign finance. He also thinks that representatives in Congress should not be allowed to trade on the stock exchange while they are the ones making the decisions about whether various stocks will go up and down. Nancy Pelosi. He's also stood in front of his own colleagues and been booed for the things that he said.
Oh, boo all you want.
Yeah, that was when he got booed by his own caucus on the floor. And the reason he got booed was because he talked about how they're all working for special interests.
Now you guys see what I want.
But probably the most famous moment in Matt Gaetz's career was when he did, in fact, stand up in the gallery of the Congress and have Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, thrown out.
The gentleman will state the form of his resolution.
Declaring the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vacant. Resolved that the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives is hereby declared to be vacant.
There you go. And that was a historic moment that led to Mike Johnson being the new Speaker of the House of Representatives and a new era of combative conservatism, a new era of MAGA, America First representation in the House of Representatives, and now hopefully also in the Department of Justice. It has been an interesting few years watching somebody like Matt Gaetz rise to power and work diligently, because that's what he does, work diligently for the people of the state of Florida, and that's why they keep sending him back to Congress. But back to Donald Trump, this definitely seems to be the Floridification of the United States government, because Donald Trump himself is a Florida resident. Donald Trump now has a Secretary of State from Florida, an Attorney General from Florida, and earlier this week, he made our good friend Mike Waltz the National Security Advisor. The National Security Advisor is a very important and powerful position, somebody who will report directly to the president and help him make all of his national security decisions. Before, of course, he was national security advisor, he came into my studio and we shared an ice cream cone together.
We're rolling Joe Biden style with Congressman Mike Waltz.
You're going to break some international news, announce some ceasefires, talk about a trip to the border.
I didn't know my good friend is going to be at the border, too. Oh.
So if you're keeping score, the president is from Florida. The secretary of state is from Florida. The attorney general is from Florida. The national security advisor is from Florida. And why is that? Well, very simply, if you want to drain the swamp, you need people who live in a swamp to help you do it. By the way, if you enjoyed this video and you want more of our content, please subscribe to our channel. Just click the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell too, because we are constantly updating this channel with new content for you to learn from and enjoy and be entertained by and be excited about. Hit subscribe, hit the notifications, and we will bring you more stuff before you know it.